Hello and welcome to Goatcast Episode 2. I am your host, the Wolf of Lego, and I am joined by my co-host,
Zach. Hi, everybody.
Hey, so in this episode we're going to be talking about less topics than the first episode. The first episode we kind of bit off more than we could chew. We were going to do 4 topics and it just kind of went a little long, so instead we're just going to be talking about 2 things today, that being Invincible and Army of the Dead. And before we start talking about that stuff, I wanted to have a new little segment, especially if we're going to have less stuff to talk about. Just kind of real quick go over what we've been watching or listening to or playing, and kind of give quick little recommendations or just kind of explain what we've been up to in the last couple weeks. So, Zach, what have you been watching, listening to, or playing?
Well, Critical Role just finished their ending to the second campaign, so that was a nice little send-off. For those of you who don't know, it's a bunch of voice actors play D&D and record it and live on Twitch. They do a lot of charity stuff in between, and it's a lot of fun if you have 4 hours to spend to watch an episode.
Well, if people can binge watch Lord of the Rings, I'm sure they can watch it.
Yeah, but this is 141 episodes with 4 hours each. You know, it's kind
141.
of
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a story.
Jesus.
Yeah, this is the second campaign. So hopefully they'll start a third one at some point. So everybody who's interested to listening to that can join in on a fresh new story.
Cool.
What about you? What have you been listening to or watching?
Well, I recently watched Bo Burnham's new comedy special on Netflix, Inside. If you don't know who Bo Burnham is, he's a comedy songwriter. He's been around forever. He was one of the original, I don't know if I want to use the word sensation, but he was one of the original YouTube sensations early on. And he's got great stuff. I've always loved his content. And he filmed this comedy special during quarantine. He filmed it all by himself and edited it by himself. It is fantastic. I would recommend it to anybody. It's fucking hilarious. Halfway through, it takes a turn, and I won't spoil it here, but it really is. I don't know if you'd call it a comedy special. It's really a personal project, and it really shows, and I would just recommend it to anybody. I also recently watched A Quiet Place Part 2, which was pretty good. I think I actually liked it more than the first one. It had less dumb stuff in it, and I think they just established their world a lot better. I think it's a fun world, and it picks up right after the other one. It feels like a really good continuation. It doesn't feel like a forced-in sequel in that sense, how some movies can be like, it really doesn't need a sequel, so they find an excuse. It just flows together really nicely, and it's quite enjoyable, so I'd recommend checking that out if you were a fan of the first one, or just horror movies in general.
Cool. I'm definitely going to check that out at some point when I get a chance to get out of the house.
Yeah, did you see the first Quiet Place?
Yeah, I did. I did watch the first one.
Yeah, no.
I was pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah, I'd recommend checking this one out. I'd be curious what you think of it.
Yeah, maybe we could do a bit of a more in-depth talk after I watch it.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, with that said, the first topic we have for today is a show called Invincible. It aired on Amazon Prime a couple months ago at this point. April? Like late April?
I was counting it back in my head. I think late April.
Yeah, I don't know if that's correct. It came out a couple months ago, but it's a 2D animated superhero show, and it's great. Like, if you're a fan of something like The Boys from Amazon Prime, like a more adult take on superheroes, this is right up your alley.
Yeah, it's really good, and even if you're on the fence about it, I would say at least watch the first episode. And
yeah, no, for sure.
The first episode alone is so incredibly good.
And real quick,
it sets the tone. Oh,
real quick, spoilers. We're gonna be talking about the show in depth. So if you haven't seen the show, go watch the show and then come back. Like, it's on Amazon Prime. Most people have Amazon Prime. Just watch it. It's a good show.
Yeah, because just like last time, we're probably going to dive right into it, and there's not going to be enough time to have a separate spoiler warning.
But like, if you're like me and you're kind of burnt out on superhero content because there's just so much of it, this is very refreshing, similar to The Boys in a lot of ways, because it is more adult. And it just doesn't throw any punches. It just goes right into it.
Yeah, it's there's no guardrails, so it can really be realistic on its take of things. At the same time, being an animated show, having that exaggeration that you couldn't get from, say, The Boys or
and
the Marvel or DC movies.
Like, I've seen a lot of people compare the two shows, saying that, oh, look, it's another, like, Boys kind of clone, which is kind of funny because, like, I'm pretty sure Invincible was the comics were anyway, were before The Boys. I'm pretty sure Invincible started in like 2003 and The Boys started in 2012. So,
That might be true.
one has been around longer than the other. But like to say that really doesn't do the show justice, because if you've seen both shows, they're vastly different from one another. The Boys is a satirical commentary on like politics and stardom and like superheroes, and it's talking a lot about modern day culture as it is and poking fun at it, and that kind of stuff. While Invincible is much more adult in a different way, where it's more of your classic superhero type story, where it's like superheroes exist in this world and they're not like marketed like how they are in The Boys. They just exist, and it's adult in the sense that like it is extremely fucking violent.
What would happen if Superman really did punch a human being? Like, it's not.
Yeah, it's
Like,
absurd. And the fact that it's animated, they just go all out.
yeah. The story altogether, even though that it's gory and has these sort of themes, the story is entertaining. The characters are great. The cast is amazing. All the talent that's there is
I think
wonderful to see.
I think a lot of the budget went to the voice cast, because as much as I really like this show, the animation is pretty choppy, like in a lot of parts,
Yeah.
especially in big sequences. There's in episode 2, there's like an alien invasion, and there's a lot of like weird 3D kind of modeling in the background to make it look bigger than it is, and it sticks out because the show is like 2D animated. So
Yeah.
I think they spent a lot of, like, if they were to improve on anything in the next seasons, I would hope that they improve on the animation, because the voice cast is stellar. And not to say the animation is bad by any means. Some of the fight scenes are really well done. But there's something to be desired there. I think, especially in like a couple of the first episodes, it is a little odd because it's like a little stiff. And then like later episodes, it gets smoother. I don't know if you noticed that. I did.
Yeah, especially a lot of like the lip syncing.
Yeah, that.
Like a lot of the facial expressions were kind of hard, and the transitions between some of like the happy faces to the angry faces were very, I don't know, stiff. I think would be the best way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, just for me, when I started watching the show, I didn't know how I felt about it, because the animation looked a little stiff. I wasn't big on some of the voice acting at first, with the character of Mark, voiced by Stephen Yoon?
Yeah.
Yes, how you say it. And I was a little like, all right, he's going for like that teen type of voice, and I wasn't huge on it, but even though he's a teen, so I don't know why I was thinking about that. But I was a little on the fence. I was like, oh, this is kind of neat. It's like, superheroes type of thing. And then the ending of the first episode, it caught me off guard. I think it catches anybody off guard unless you've read the fucking comic books. Like,
Right.
there is this brutal scene with the character of Omni-Man, who is Mark's dad. He's pretty much like the Superman of this universe. And he systematically kills this world's version of the Justice League in like a 3-minute action scene where he crushes pretty much the equivalent of the Flash's head, and then the music just cuts out, and then he just kills everybody in 3 minutes, and it's fucking brutal. And after that, I was hooked.
Because it set the tone. Like you spend the entire episode. What was it? A 40-minute episode, the first one.
Yeah.
You spend this time. You see the heroes in action. They save the White House. They have these interactions. You get the brief stint of them in their day-to-day lives, and then they get the call to superhero meetup, and then it's just that scene, and the music cuts out, and
It's brutal.
it's brutal. It's so good.
But like right after that episode, I wanted to see what happened. It hooks you so well. Like obviously, hopefully, if you're watching this, you've seen it. For me, like I said, I was on the fence about it, and then the ending of that, I wanted to see what happened. It immediately hooks you, which it's great for a first episode of a show.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say any of it was so far that I can remember. None of it's been like a cliffhanger.
No.
It's been like a natural sort of progression. It's like, okay, they started this, they ended it, but you want to know more.
Yeah, for
You want to
sure.
know where it goes from there. It's not like, oh no, your hero is on,
But
it cuts right at the good part of the fight, and you have to wait for next episode.
it shows you. It just goes right through
Yeah.
it, and then like you're more intrigued of what the hell just happened.
Yeah, okay, like what happens now? Like I got to know what happens now.
And it does a perfect way also of making their real tension in the sense that it's like, okay, if all these fuckers could die, anyone could die. So you're immediately more like invested in your characters because they just introduce all these characters and kill them immediately.
Yeah, it's the Game of Thrones logic where all these characters are great. I like them, but any of them could die at any moment.
Yeah, there were several parts in the show where I thought certain characters were dead. Like, legitimately, it was like, oh, they're fucking dead. Because of how this first episode established the fact that it's like, people can die in this show.
Yeah.
Like, these godlike beings can be snapped like twigs. So, like, nobody's safe.
And I will say that I like their take on plot armor.
Yeah.
For the main character, Invincible, Mark Grayson.
Ironic name.
Yeah.
Just about every fight he's in, he's almost dead by the end of it.
Right, but like they're not afraid to beat him to that state.
No,
like
which
a lot of shows, it's like here's your good guy. He can't be touched.
No, I love it. Like, we talked last episode about the Bad Batch show with a character like Omega, where she's making mistakes and whatnot. Mark is like the extreme of like, he's getting his fucking ass handed to him in every single encounter. So like, you know, it's ironic with his name being Invincible, but you root for the guy because you want to see him, because they hint at the fact that he's stronger than he is multiple times.
Yeah, they've had a couple of scenes where like he gets his rage.
Yeah, so you're waiting for him to let that loose, which I think will be a great payoff from whenever they do, if they do, you know.
Right.
But no, like you said, the voice cast is great. Stephen Young does a great job, and Omni-Man is voiced by J.K. Simmons, which is fucking perfect.
Yeah, it really is. We've talked about it before, how his role in Whiplash and as J. Jonah Jameson, like he's got that authoritative voice.
Yeah. So, like, when he starts talking, like, I don't know if you've ever seen Whiplash, that is, like, the Anxiety, the movie. Like, that man just, if he started yelling at you, you'd be listening to him. It doesn't matter what the fuck he's saying. Louder! You'd be attentive. And that's the same for this show. It's great.
He's got that powerful, authoritative voice, and it fits so well with the character. It's really, really good. I'm trying to think of who else was there. Oh, along with a lot of the episodes with Damien Darkblood, with Clancy Brown.
Yeah, he's like
another great voice.
Yeah, I mean character. the whole voice cast is fucking awesome.
Like I couldn't imagine anybody else in this show being played by a separate actor.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like just the casting alone is so great.
I mean, I don't like the character of Rexplosion. I just don't like the attitude. And the voice bothers the shit out of me.
Yeah, but that's the reason the character's there.
I know.
You're not supposed to like him.
No, you're not. They make it very clear that he's just kind of an asshole. So like you just don't want anything to do with him. But no, everyone in the show really works really well. The mom character, I was surprised. Debbie, she gets a lot to do, which, you know, in other things, the non-superpowered characters usually kind of get sidelined. And she has like a whole plot. Like you brought up Darkblood, he's a detective, and he gets taken out of the show, and then Debbie kind of picks up where he left off. And continues the investigation about the murder of the Guardians with Omni-Man, which is really good, really compelling stuff. I really enjoyed all that, where she's trying to piece together what happened.
Yeah, which is, I think, goes back to not having the show incredibly... Like, the show's about Mark Grayson being invincible and his story, but I feel like the show is never, like, fully centered on him.
No.
Like, there's so much happening in the world around him that the show does a great job of showing and telling you.
Yeah, like the title character, sure, you see more of him than anyone else, but they spend a lot of time with different characters. There's tons of subplots going on that are all compelling. Like, none of them feel boring. One of the highlights of the show for me are the Mahler twins. They have like this, they're like these roided up Blue Man Group guys that just are like stereotypical villains. Like the show starts with them just wanting to kill the president because why not? Like,
yeah.
and they like clone each other, so they're just clones of each other, and they're arguing who's the original all the time.
Yeah,
and they got a great dynamic. They're really fun, and like they have to do with a subplot with the character of Robot who is trying to clone a body using them. So they have something to do, which doesn't 100% pay off. I think that's more for future seasons with the robot thing, because it kind of happens right at the end and they don't go too far into it, which I gotta say is a little weird. They do this one character is called Monster Girl, and she every time she turns into this like Hulk-like creature, she goes down in age. She gets younger. So Robot feels
She's what,
sorry
like a
for her, and
yeah.
like he clones a body for himself using the DNA of Rex and makes it the same age as her because he likes her. And it's kind of just weird because it's like they're kids and they're doing like there's like a romance tension between them, and I just don't really like that. It's just fucking weird stuff.
Yeah, it's slightly bizarre. So she's what, 29 in a 13-year-old body?
She's like, I think she's 25 and she's like 13, yeah. And it's just like
Yeah.
she's making like sex jokes and stuff, and it's like, and they're implying she's a kid, and I'm like, I don't like that. That's just weird. I don't know who wrote that. It's just like, couldn't you have done that differently?
I feel like it's a very interesting dynamic. Like
It's different for sure, but it comes off weird.
yeah. I fully understand that it's bizarre and weird and like makes you uncomfortable, and like I could very
Yeah.
much understand why.
I was remember watching it and feeling like, who the fuck, who wrote that? Like,
I just feel like it's a unique thing that I haven't seen done
no, I
to
mean,
very
yeah,
like there's always that, adult stuck in a child's body thing.
there's always
But
one of those. Does that happen a lot?
that's happened in a couple shows and movies,
Okay. I can't,
right? Like that's happened before.
I mean, probably. I can't think of any examples, but I'll
Oh,
believe you.
I'll have to look it up now. Now that you've done this to me.
No, not now. Put that away.
But I just feel like it's just like the rest of the show where it's more adult oriented. It kind of but shines a different light on it than you might typically see.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Um,
No, but like we were saying with subplots and stuff, like they all work. There's the character of Cecil, who is like the Nick Fury of this world, and he's kind of the boss of all the superheroes. He's just a normal guy, kind of in charge of like the government task force that deals with superheroes. And he's a great character. Really enjoy him. He's just no nonsense, all business. He's got this whole plot where like they pretty much know pretty early on that Omni-Man killed the Guardians, and they're trying to figure out why, and also how the fuck would they stop him, because he's like literally invincible, unlike Mark.
Even then, there were several times where he was being beaten. Like in that initial fight scene in episode 1, they were ganging up on him, and they got the upper hand for a moment.
Yeah, but then like
The
by the end of episode 2, he's fully healed and he destroys an entire planet. So
I
it's
guess so.
so it's like how do it's interesting though, because like you as the audience are wondering why he killed them. They don't outright tell you. But by episode 2, he goes to this in episode 2 there's like an alien invasion happening. That's like the plot. And Omni-Man at the end goes through a portal to their world and just says, "Earth is not yours to conquer." And from that point on, I was like, okay, so he's some conquering alien species that's like on Earth to take over. And that's pretty much what they reveal at the end of the show. So that's exactly what he is, you know?
I like that they waited to the end of the season to fully give you that info. Like they kind of hint, they kind of tease, they give little tidbits, like you just said.
Which is great, because throughout the entire show, Omni-Man is training Mark how to be, like him as a superhero, and you can tell that he cares about him, because he's even saying there's bigger stuff to worry about, and Mark's trying to get with this girl, Amber, and Omni-Man's letting him do that. He's not like cracking down on him like, no, we have to just do this. He's like, okay, you can go hang out with her, that's fine, do what you want. And then, but as the audience, you know that something's wrong, something's up with this guy.
Yeah.
But they show you that he cares about his son, which makes the final episode so much more gut wrenching. It's a great build up to that. We'll get into that
The
a little
first
later.
and last episode.
Yeah, really do hit you.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, to me, like in terms of episodes with like a lot of impact, like I said, first and last, and then the 5th episode, which involves a character called Titan, who was established in the first episode as like this bank robber who works for a crime boss called Machine Head, who is a fantastic character who
Yeah.
What a creative character design. His voice has fucking auto-tune, so when he talks, it pitches and stuff.
I know where your family lives, and that means you work for me until I say you're fucking done.
And it's really
Yeah,
great.
It's really good.
It's like the whole, you're only good for breaking shit, and then he punches the desk and he's like, see, that's what I mean. He's like, you have to pay for the desk now too. This is like imported Italian maple. But
Just somebody who's so above what was happening in front of him.
yeah.
'Cause is the whole like you're playing chess and I'm playing checkers thing.
Hmm.
He's just like he's like this is nothing to me. I've already been here. I've already done this.
But the fifth episode has this character of Titan pretty much show Invincible that he's trying to like be the big superhero that's like saving the world from planet-ending stuff, and there's a lot of people suffering down in the streets that he doesn't notice. So he kind of brings him down a level to be like, hey, look at this, you know? So then Mark agrees to help him fight Machine Head, and they have this fucking confrontation at the end, which is brutal, where Machine Head has all these like hired goons that are like super powered beings that are like, and they just beat the absolute shit out of Mark and Titan.
Battle Beast being the most notable,
Yeah.
and his the one scene in particular, the final like hammer down he does to Mark and just bathes in his blood. Like that scene is so.
It's like what the hell? Where did that come
There's so
from?
many scenes in the show where it's just like takes your breath away kind of thing.
Yeah, but because then right after that, I thought he killed Black Samson. He just, he runs up to him and like breaks his arm and chucks him against a wall, and then he proceeds to beat Monster Girl nearly to death, and I thought she was dead too. It was just like, oh my lord, what are we doing? They're just straight up killing all the characters. Like,
Yeah, it was that fight, and what was the other one? What was the other fight I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm losing my mind today.
It's okay. I feel you. Yeah, but like those 3 episodes have like a big impact. But then like, not to say the other episodes are bad, but they're kind of just like loose little stories here and there. They all lead to something. I think the most filler-esque one, or not even filler, just kind of set up for like future stuff, is episode 4, Mark Goes to Mars, and has this whole little thing where he's got to protect these astronauts. And there's like this parasite thing that if it gets a hold of a human, it becomes like unified and can take over planets. And when Mark leaves, after a pretty good comedic scene where the Martian king is telling him they're gonna kill all the humans, and Mark's like, I understand, and it hard cuts to them running away, which was quite entertaining.
Yeah, that was a good little tidbit.
The show's got some good sense of humor. There's a lot of laugh out loud moments. That episode really doesn't lead to that much, besides possibly setting up something in the future. So that one kind of felt like, what was the point of that? I'm sure it'll be hopefully added upon in the next season or whatever.
I'm sure of it.
But then, like, episode 3, you have the building of the new Guardians, which, might I say, suck complete ass in comparison to the original group. Like, Cecil asked Robot to make a new Guardians of the Globe, and the team he picks out, not to say they're bad, but it's like, in comparison, they stand no chance at all. Like, if Omni-Man were to fight them, it would not even be 3 minutes. It would be, like, seconds. I highly doubt any of them could stand their ground against him. So it just was kind of funny to me that they were the options that were picked.
It was also another thing of like he had history with a good chunk of them.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He picks everyone that was on his team, which,
Yeah.
to me, the character for Explosion, I don't know how the fuck you'd pick him over some of the other people that were in that room.
Yeah, I don't
All
know.
he
It might
does
have
is
just been,
throw
like-
exploding coin chips. Like, you never see Rex
Yeah.
do anything spectacular. It's like, what does he bring to the team besides being obnoxious?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, there was also the fact that he had his whole agenda to get with Monster Girl and use.
Yeah, but that was before the fact.
I feel like he kind of had that. Well, he met Monster Girl in that interview and was kind of awestruck by her.
Well, he approved of her because of her strength, but she revealed to him her problem after the fact, and that's when you start seeing him look into it. So I would disagree with you there.
Yeah, it's just me misremembering. That's all. I'm not wrong. I'm just wrong.
All the characters are great. Adam Eve is a fun character. She's got her own little subplot going on where she's deciding to use her powers just to help average people because she's a little overpowered. She can apparently reconstruct atoms on a she can
Molecular scale.
Yeah, there you go. And it's like, that seems a little overpowered. Like, can't you just do anything with that? Which they only tap a little bit into, but I was just like, at first I thought she just made force fields, and then they explained that, and I'm like, oh, she's a lot more powerful than I thought.
Yeah, I wanted to say her caveat is that she couldn't do it to like living matter, but she does it to plants. So I don't know if that's true either.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know how that works with her. And even like a character like Duplicate, technically the original could like stay behind and then just duplicate herself like a ton and then send them in. Like, why does she risk her life going there? She could just send a bunch of like other versions. Because
but it might be like on a time thing. I don't know.
I mean, they use her like a fucking rag doll. They're constantly ripping her apart, gory. Like, she dies so many times.
Yeah. One of the other members, Shrinking Ray,
Yep.
which I don't know. She's Ant-Man.
Pretty much. They don't really establish her that much. She's just kind of there.
Yeah, she doesn't get very much light, and I feel like Black Samson
There's
doesn't get as much light as I feel like the character deserves.
I mean, he got more to do than Shrink Ray for sure. They kind of gave him
Oh,
more
for
of
sure,
a,
but-
like a leader role because he was apparently with the Guardians beforehand and he lost his powers. So he
Yeah,
kind of
that's
like
the powers.
he's the veteran and he's like explaining to them that they're a bunch of jackasses and they need to pull their shit together.
Yeah.
Which I quite liked. I feel like he got a lot to do, and they're saying that like he got his powers back, so that's cool. So they'll hopefully see more of him doing.
I was about to say, have they debuted his powers? I don't remember
No.
seeing them.
They show when him and Monster Girl are taken with Mark, where they're almost all dead. They use
Yeah, like
defibrillators
he-
on him, and then like it like short circuits, and like he absorbs it, and then he's like super good again. And I think they're implying his powers are back.
He goes super fast, and I think he does say that he has his powers back. I just don't think we've seen what they are
No,
yet.
but like I said with the Guardians of the Globe in the finale of the show, they're just kind of watching all this happen with Mark and Omni-Man, and like there's nothing they can do to help. So then they go to like help civilians, and then you don't see too much of it, and they go back to their base. Rexplosion's like, I'm gonna wash this blood off the wall that Cecil left as a reminder for us, and he's like, we haven't earned it yet, and he's like, we've earned it, and I'm like, I don't feel like you guys have. You haven't done that much. And then they're like, yeah, we've earned it, and they all start washing it off together as a team, which I guess they've came together as a team, but it really didn't. There wasn't a scene of them really coming together. They just like implied they're now a team.
They did have a little montage.
Yeah, like a
of them
little, but you know what I
doing
mean?
shit
It just didn't feel
Yeah.
earned to me, I guess. I think the worst part of the show is the character of Amber, the love interest for Mark. I don't feel like she works at all.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I also don't care for Eve's parents. I feel like that whole
Yeah, but that was really short. That was like
yeah, but I felt like it was kind of extremely cliche.
true. I
It
could see
is-
that. But like with Amber, she is a huge part of the show. And at first I liked her, but then they were doing the classic superhero, like this is in every superhero thing, when a person's hiding their secret identity and they're dating someone who doesn't know that they're a superhero. Spider-Man and Superman, I've seen it before. It's like something happens, they run away off screen and put on their superhero costume, and then once the action is done, they come back and the person's like, where were you? Where did you go? And they do this in the sixth episode with the college episode.
Yeah.
And Amber's like, where did you go? And he's like, I went to get help. And she's like, you left us. And she's all sad. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty generic, but you know, whatever. That's just kind of a superhero trope in and of itself. But then the next episode, they have Mark tell Amber that he's invincible. And she's like, I know. And it's like, huh? And I was like, okay, that's kind of a fun twist on that because, you know, the idea that she already knows. But then she still treats him like a piece of shit because she was expecting him to have trusted her to tell her that he's invincible, even though he's doing a really dangerous job where if someone knew that, like, she was, like, romantically involved with him, they could use that against him and go after her. Or, like, all these other different scenarios of where she could be in danger. And she's just like, fuck you, Mark Grayson, and we're done. And, you know, he just... like, that's how that ends, and then his friend William is just like, yeah, you were a shitty boyfriend. And I'm thinking, like, this guy just, like, told you a really personal secret, and you're just kind of, like, you just diss it off, you know?
Yeah, I felt like it was the strong woman thing,
Yeah.
which I didn't dislike. I felt like it was more humorous.
Yeah, but, like...
she was just like, I didn't sign up to be, you know, sidelined. Like, if you wanted to date me, like, she kind of has the sense of, like, she knows what she's worth and she deserves better. And she's not afraid to tell that to Superman's son. You know what I mean? Like, I found it kind of...
I feel like she also needs to, like, recognize why he wouldn't tell her. Like, come on.
Yeah, but they're also in high school, and...
But the nail in the coffin for me was at the end of the show. Mark almost dies, and it's on the news. And she comes to his house and is like, "Oh, are you okay? I'm so sorry. Can we start over?" And he's like, "Sure." And I'm like, at this point, it'd be like, "Well, fuck you." Like, like you treated me like shit, and then you just come back to me like, "Hey, can we start over because I almost saw you die on the news? Like, I feel sorry for you now, even though I treated you like an asshole." Like, It just didn't work for me. And they're like setting up a love triangle between Mark, Eve, and Amber, and I just don't want any of that. I don't like just like either write Amber better or just have him go with Eve, one or the other. Don't do the love triangle. I hate that stuff.
I feel like it's interesting, just the fact, like, their relationship is already rocky. Like, I don't see him and Amber being together for much longer, because it's now this kind of, I'm only with you because I feel sorry for you, and he's only with her because he doesn't realize that that Eve has feelings for him.
Yeah.
I feel like as soon as he figures that out, he's gonna be like, okay, I'm not wasting my time on this anymore.
I just didn't feel like she worked that well. Wasn't a fan of her, especially throughout the show. Like at first I liked her, and then by the end I was like, this person's just a bitch.
She's too much woman for him is the issue.
I guess. No, but I've been kind of dodging around it. But like the ending of the show is super satisfying. Like in a brutal way. Like it's horrific, but it's like it's just edge of your seat. I honestly thought Mark was gonna die. I don't know anything about the comics, but how it was going, I'm like, is he gonna die? Is this gonna end with him dying? Like, this is extreme. Like, because Omni-Man reveals to Mark that he comes from an alien race that are conquerors that go around the galaxy conquering and just taking over planets. And he came to Earth to weaken it. And Mark doesn't believe him because, like I said in the beginning of the show, they're showing that he cares about his son and he like cares about his wife, and then like he's talking as if his wife is like a pet to him.
Yeah, he says my wife is a pet and I can always make a new kid.
Yeah, and it like he beats Mark physically, but he also tries to beat him mentally just by showing him how powerful he is and how humans are not worth saving. He just emotionally like destroys him. Mark saves a pilot and Omni-Man just comes up behind him and crushes his head, and he's like, what a waste of time. And it's like, oh my lord, like he's just like going around, and then he starts to use Mark to kill people, which is the most fucked up thing in that whole episode.
I do like the little meme that I saw where it's every superhero needs a train stopping scene. And
no.
it was the Spider-Man, the Superman catching a train.
But instead it's fucking
Avengers.
It's fucking Mark as a fucking blender to an entire locomotive full of people. It's so disturbing.
That was another one of the moments where it just takes your breath away and you feel your heart stop for a minute. You're like, oh, they're doing this. Oh no, they're doing this. Why?
And like he stands no chance against his dad, but he keeps trying to fight him. Like, you can see that he's trying to save people. There's one part where Mark's like, I need to save them, and his dad just slams his head into the ground. He's like, no. Like, he's just trying to get it across to him that, like, you don't need to save these people. They're nothing to you. And it's...
He does that several times, where the building is collapsing, the pilot, after the train. There's so many scenes where he just wants to help somebody, and his dad just says no.
Yeah. It's just messed up, and in like the best way in terms of like the show. It's like so well done.
None of it is like needlessly gory or horrific, or it's.
I mean, it's gory, it's horrific, but it like
but
you
it's
said,
not needlessly that way.
No,
there's
it's servicing the story. It's like
yeah,
these people are defenseless. They throughout the entire episode. Cecil's trying to stop Omni-Man, or the episode before, I should say. He's using all this stuff to try to stop him, and none of it's working.
You wouldn't dare. Then it gets hit by the the laser beam from space.
Yeah. No, but they do a good job with the show also reincorporating stuff. Like, everything seems to be, like, thought out for the most part, because, like, there's this kaiju that's, like, Omni-Man beat up, and they show a little clip of it with the character of Donald, and they're just like, bring it in, and then you see it later. And then
I'm glad that you brought that back up, because I absolutely love how they reuse everything that they bring in.
Yeah, because
like the very first episode where they have the little security guard conversation.
Yeah, that leads into the next episode.
And like he comes up a couple times.
Yeah.
With like,
but even Mark throwing the trash from the Burger Mart, and it lands in fucking Europe on top of that security guard. Like, you forgot about the fucking trash bag that he threw into fucking orbit. And then when it
crossed my mind.
You want to say that again? Your mic cut out really bad.
Oh, no. Yeah, I that went right over my head. I didn't even realize that's where the trash came from, was that scene of him throwing it into space.
Yeah. No, it's like they reincorporate that from the 5th episode, the college one with like these cyborgs in the sewers. They use those against Omni-Man. Just great stuff like that. Like great reincorporation. Even the character the Immortal is like literally stitched back together and goes after Omni-Man again, which I'm sure he's coming back.
Yeah, and then the whole bit with Alan the Alien, where he gets Earth mixed up with Earth or whatever the other planet was.
Yeah, it was like with a U, Earth or something like that.
Yeah,
but
you know.
That part bothers me a smidge because he's from a coalition of planets that apparently like know of the Viltrum Empire, and they know that they're planet conquering aliens. And Omni-Man fought this guy to like show that Earth has a good protector, but that they're conquerors and they know that these people don't like them and they're trying to build a resistance against the Viltrums. Why wouldn't he just kill Alan the Alien? Why let him live?
Because they might have a scorched earth policy where if they knew that there was a Viltrumite coming to Earth, they might have just broke Earth before they had a chance to get there. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's not established, so I can't really like talk on it too much, but it was just a scene that was kind of odd to me. If they know about Viltrumites and then there's one there and they just assume he's someone else, it's just like, I don't know about that. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of...
Especially when there's footage of when Omni-Man first showed up in Viltrumite uniform, like with the white robes and stuff, which clearly other races would probably know of.
Yeah.
That's a little plot hole. Maybe they'll explain it better. But to me, I was just like, that's a little odd.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's some of the things that you just kind of overlook in the grand scheme of the show. I mean, every show has that, but...
Yeah, but overall, I think it's a great show.
It's a great show. I'm excited for season 2. They did confirm season 2 and 3.
Yeah,
right?
season 2 and 3. So
that'll be great to watch.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely keep watching. I really enjoyed this first season. It's got a great little premise and a lot of good characters and just fun overall.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend it.
For any reason that you've listened to all this and haven't watched any of it, go watch the first episode if you're still, teetering on it.
Yeah.
Because if that first episode doesn't grab you, then this isn't a show for you. But
I can't see someone watching the first episode not wanting to see what happens.
Right, because it's you want to know.
Yeah, but would you? Obviously, you're recommending the show.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right, so since we covered that one pretty well, second topic is Army of the Dead. What did you think about it?
It fucking sucks.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys later.
Goodbye.